Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, what would happen if your mobile phone killed you?
We are tonight's entertainment.
I would rather watch Beautician and the Beast.
People don't forget.
And here we go.
Made for movies.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Made for Movies podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Wolf. With me, as always, my co-host, the great Eric Russo. What's happening?
Same old, ready to rock this out. Got some box office movie updates, as well as the top 5 news stories of the week, and the always fun and infamous Wolf's Why Is This Happening news story of the week. We have a good one for you today.
Can already tell you I don't know why it's happening, and I'm scared.
You are scared. I know. It's all right. I'll hold your hand. We'll make it through it. It's not like we have to watch it for a podcast or anything. But yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So, box office update. Again, we're focusing on Godzilla vs. Kong. So, this movie had another good week at the box office. Its total is up to $357 million worldwide, which is actually is as much as King of the Monsters, Godzilla King of the Monsters made. It's already profitable. Already turned a profit of $96 million, so it's like the first pandemic movie to make money, and it's on HBO Max, which is very, very impressive, but they're projecting that it's going to finish around $500 million now, and I think that this movie has sort of saved the box office. But any last thoughts before we move on from Godzilla vs. Kong?
No, I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a sign of things to come, hopefully, for most movies that are good. And Godzilla vs. Kong is a good movie, so definitely go see it if you hadn't. Add to that total. Hopefully it's a pandemic breaker or whatever they want to call it.
Do you think that we will be getting a sequel to Godzilla vs. Kong? And if so, do you want to see it be like a team up, or where would you go with the direction of the next movie?
They kind of, shot their load with the Mechagodzilla versus both of them.
Who do they got left in the tank?
If a team up, what's left? I don't know if Mothra's going to come by and fart on everybody, but that would be pretty cool. I would like to see that. But I have no doubt, like the way they left it, both are still alive. Kong's on, Hollow Earth. Godzilla's just still taking a swim, and I have no doubt we'll see them again for sure. And I would go watch that movie 100% either way.
Yeah, I saw one interesting idea is to do like a crossover with Pacific Rim. I'm not too familiar with those, but go all in, or Power Rangers. Let's just get weird with it.
Thundercats, maybe? I don't know. Is that in the same universe?
I don't think so, but why can't it be? So.
What is that revolting stench?
If it's Warner Brothers, they like to put every character ever that they've had into movies. So we know that Space Jam 3 will definitely feature the Thundercats and Godzilla teaming up.
Wait, is that Godzilla vs. Kong 9?
It is.
Is that what that's
Fast
gonna
and
be?
Furious,
right,
Tokyo
cool.
Drift. All right, so
I can't wait.
Let's just jump into this. We have 5 top stories of the week for you guys. We're going to count them down. The 5th story has to do with a movie called The Tomorrow War, which stars Chris Pratt. Originally, this was made by Paramount. It was supposed to go to theaters last December, but because of the pandemic, it got pushed back. And with that, it looks like the studio maybe prematurely sold this thing off, right before Godzilla vs. Kong made all its money. But, they took a $125 million profit, sold it to Amazon Prime, and now it's coming out in July. So it'll be out for 4th of July weekend. But just going from here, I don't think you have too much thoughts on this movie, but how do you feel about like these big action movies going straight to streaming versus theaters first?
Yeah, this is like the kind of movie that I don't necessarily seek out to go see in theaters, unless it's like getting reviews that are ridiculous. Like I didn't see John Wick in theaters, so
okay,
that obviously got pretty heavy acclaim and is loved by most people, and there's obviously 50 sequels coming. So I think that this will be one of the last ones, if I had to guess, that will be bought like this. As the success of Godzilla vs. Kong has showed, people are going back to the theaters globally. So this is probably one of those movies that also on a global level will do well. because it's an action shoot 'em up, and that's what a lot of people like overseas. I like those movies. I will definitely watch this movie on Amazon Prime because I do like Chris Pratt as well. He's funny in Parks and Rec and obviously Guardians. So yeah, I think like this might be one of the last big transactions we see like this, if I'm guessing right. But then again, I've been wrong before, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree that it'll be the last one, only for the fact that it's just money at this point, and it seems like Netflix and Amazon just have an unlimited amount of it. So I don't even think it's an issue of, if you ask the directors and the actors, of course they would choose to release it in theaters. I just think it's hard for, a movie like this, which I agree with you. Like, I don't think a lot of people are like clamoring to see this, Chris Pratt in like a Terminator style movie. Like, I think it'll be good. I just don't necessarily know it's like what people want to see. So it's like, hey, here's $100 million. We'll pay for your production. It's a guaranteed win. It's like a no brainer, right? Like,
yeah.
I think with Chris Pratt, I'm a big Chris Pratt guy, but he seems to be a little more successful with like IP as far as like Jurassic Park movies, Guardians of the Galaxy. So I don't know if he's like a box office draw outside of that. And again, I just don't know if anybody is nowadays. Like a true, maybe The Rock. There's like a couple people. I don't know if he's one of them. So I just think it's less risky, and I think we'll continue to see these types of movies that are like original, big budget action sci-fi be more of a streamer thing, and IP will be what's mostly going to theaters. But
yeah, that's a fair point.
So moving on, so that's the fifth story of the week. We're going to jump into the fourth story of the week, which has to do with one of your all-time favorite movie franchises, the Rocky/Creed franchise. So it was announced a while back that Stallone said for the 10th time that he was not going to be returning to the role of Rocky. This has officially been confirmed by the film's director and star, Michael B. Jordan. He has officially said that Stallone will not be involved with the projects moving forward because they want to focus on the story of Adonis and not on Rocky. So do you think that Creed 3 can be successful without Stallone in the lead role of Rocky?
It's a tough call. The franchise has had its core of being a Rocky movie still, even though it's been a Creed movie at the same time.
Yeah.
With one, him getting sick in the first one, and two, obviously Ivan Drago being in Creed 2. Pretty big deal. I think it could work. Some characters do die off in the original Rocky series, and it doesn't stop some of the later movies from being great. Obviously, I'm not talking about Rocky 5, but more like Rocky 4, Rocky 3, those kind of collaborations and whatnot. I think it could work. I will still watch them because I'm not just a Rocky fan, but a boxing fan. So anything like that, I typically go for. Like a Southpaw is a good movie I like with Jake Gyllenhaal. But I think they could have success in that the first two movies were pretty good, and that they could just kind of take the story wherever from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Michael B. I know we both are big fans of Michael B. Jordan, and I do think that while I do love the first Creed, and I think Stallone, it's one of his better performances for me, is as Rocky in the Creed movie. Creed 2, I'm not the biggest fan of. I think the weaker parts of Creed 2 are trying to make it a sequel to Rocky 4.
Sure.
And I think the movie is... And again, it's not bad. I just think it has like an identity crisis. So I'm really looking forward to see the next one and it be a little bit more of an original tale. And if I remember correctly, in Creed, they kind of did set up the fact that there was that other champion out there that like went to jail.
I think so.
Yeah, like he never fights him, and they talk about it, but like I always thought that was like going to be used as the sequel, and it seemed like Creed 2 just completely got away from that idea. So I'd be interested to see like that story play out with him getting out of prison and kind of coming back to reclaim his throne.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'll be good, and I think that Michael B. Jordan is honestly a bigger box office draw than Stallone right now. So
sure.
I'm sure it'll be very successful. But let's keep it running down the list. This one is something I'm excited for, so that's why I put it in the number 3 spot. But this movie called Spiral from the Book of Saul just got its first official full-length trailer. So one, what did you think of the trailer? And two, do you think that this movie will revitalize the series, or do you see this as like a one-time thing, and then they'll just end up redoing it again like they've done the last couple times?
Yeah, it's a good question. To the second part, to answer your first question, I thought the trailer is interesting. I think think anytime where you have two personalities like Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson playing a father and son, even though I think they're the same age, I think that will have enough either comedic or good dialogue to make the movie pretty good by itself. So I typically don't watch these movies. I watch Saw 1 and 2. I do like Saw 1. It is very much different than the type of horror that a lot of people like, and I will watch this movie for obvious reasons, but I think in what they were saying in one of the news articles was that this is actually going to kick off maybe another Saw movie itself, not just another spin-off of Saw movie. So I think they're trying to revitalize as much as they can because of the popularity of the previous versions, and just put a real good Chris Rocky kind of twist on there with him screaming all the time. So I think it could potentially be good and lead to more.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's all going to come down to how this performs at the box office, how well it's received. Of course, we don't know this. Does his character even survive the movie to potentially be in a sequel?
Right.
There's no way to know, but if I know anything about these movies, is they tend to have pretty twisty endings with people, their fates left up in the air, just because they rarely like to kill people off completely and
right.
Ruin it. Yeah, I did see that there's a plan for a 10th Saw movie is all they refer it as, but to me that's not saying. I assume that's them planning to do a sequel to this one way or another. Will it have Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson? I would say that's 50-50. Mm-hmm. I think I could see Chris Rock just being like a producer on the series moving forward and taking a step back, but it looks from the trailer that they're really trying to set up a new killer who's not, the killer from the original movie. That's going to be something they can hopefully build off of. But I am looking forward to it. I wasn't crazy about the trailer. I think it looks a little generic, but it's just a trailer. So I'm kind of going to hold off on judging it too hard before I see it. And
I'm gonna make my prediction right now. It's Samuel L. Jackson is the bad guy. I'm just gonna you guys all hear first. Monday, April 12th. Samuel L. Jackson will be the villain in Spiral. I'm going to call it.
I pray that you are wrong on that. Samuel L. Jackson's also in a trap in the movie, in the trailer. So
hey, what better way to throw him off your scent, if you know what I'm saying?
I always say, man, if you're going to do that, you have to have a spotter. If you're going to put yourself in a trap, you can't be doing that without someone there to help you, just in case you get into a jam.
Yeah,
gotcha. So moving on, so that was number 3 story. So this is a pretty juicy week if that's number 3, because that was number 1 in my heart for sure. But number 2 is one that you're very excited about, as am I, Loki. So Loki, the TV series, just dropped its second full official trailer. Looks really cool. And just questions for you about this. Do you think this is a one-off sort of thing and they're going to keep this completely separate from the MCU, or will they not be able to help themselves, and will they have Loki return to the real MCU to reunite with his brother Chris Hemsworth, Thor?
It's definitely the latter. They will not be able to keep them apart. When they're together on screen, most of the time it's absolutely hilarious and good, and it makes those Thor movies a lot better, especially any interactions they have in the first couple. That aren't the best movies overall, but I thought about this when I was reading the Tomorrowland, the Tomorrow War story. Everything is time travel, and everyone is alive, no matter what. There are no consequences. We're just gonna have a magical fairy dust we can sprinkle over everything, which doesn't necessarily bum me out. I do like these characters and would like to see more of them, but in the same realm, finality is also very important in some movies. We're gonna get the Matrix and Neo's gonna be back. Okay, and he's gonna be on a very awkward bike ride with somebody, but I'm excited for this. It looks like a very interesting concept. Again, what we don't know about the overall Marvel universe is fascinating because there's so many different layers that they're going to peel back because they were writing comic books for it for 50 years straight. So there is a lot of content out there, and putting a more modern spin on it, I think will be cool. So I'm still excited to see it. I thought the trailer was really cool and kind of explained a lot of what we're going to be looking at, but I don't know. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that they won't be able to help themselves. So my biggest issue with the Loki series and the idea behind it, while I do think it's a cool idea, the problem is this is taking the Loki from Avengers. So at that point in the original Avengers, when he was still a very evil villain, and then they spent 3 or 4 movies making him kind of like an anti-hero good guy, you could say, working with Thor. So for me, this show looks like it's sticking with the anti-hero side of it, where he's going to be a good guy in the series. I don't really like that. From a character development standpoint, it doesn't make much sense why that Loki at that specific time would be willing to do it. So I hope it makes sense. But I think they realize that this character is so likable, and you can't really do a TV series with someone just as an outright villain. It would be probably a hard watch. So I don't know. I'm skeptical about it, but I think it's going to be super, super entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson is in it, which I had no idea.
Me either. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he's. I think if nothing else, it'll be a very funny show, and it looks to have the tone of Thor Ragnarok, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So we move from there into the number 1 story of the week. So Sony has made a $1 billion deal with Netflix to have all Sony movies go to stream on Netflix. What this means is there will be some exclusive streaming movies straight from Sony. It's very similar to the Tomorrow War type movies where they're just going to go right there. But the big movies like Spider-Man and Jumanji and some of their other, James Bond, they'll still be going directly to theaters first, and then they'll be on the streaming after. My question to you is about the relationship between Sony and Disney. Do you think that this sort of partnership with Netflix will cause Disney to pull Spider-Man from the MCU, or for Sony to pull Spider-Man?
I think at this point anything's possible. It's almost seems like who has the bigger what as far as these big companies go. Like, let's just flex as much muscle as we can and mess over our competitors as much as we can. And if that means taking away the crossover of Sony's Tom Holland Spider-Man that did make it into the Marvel Disney side, I could easily see them doing that and basically starting over with our 9th Spider-Man, I guess. Like, how many more? They're just going to try to compete with the Batman franchise. Like, how many more Batmans can we possibly get, and how many more Spider-Mans can we get? But yeah, new stories and all that stuff. It's just these big companies buying up as much as they can is literally just a turf war. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, it seems to me. So if you remember, before Spider-Man Far From Home, it was announced that Spider-Man was going to be exclusively only through Sony, and that the deal was dead, and that Tom Holland would no longer be appearing in any future movies after Endgame. This quickly was met with a lot of backlash, and they eventually struck a deal. To me, I think inevitably that's where we're heading back to. I think that Sony wants a bigger piece of the pie, and I think that that's what we'll see, is that they'll stick to their, they have Venom and Spider-Man and Morbius. But I think that that's what they want. They want to have their own universe, which at this point, I love Spider-Man. I think that he has so much more story to tell as a lead Avenger. I think that the next set of movies should be him becoming, at some point, the leader of the entire Avengers,
Sure.
Kind of growing into a man. I think that's a story worth telling. I just don't think that'll happen. But, here's to hoping for sure.
Yeah, maybe we can get the Snyder fans to go and just spam a bunch of Sony.
Yeah,
Sony
just bully
products.
people around, man. Just threaten them, and until you get what you want. That's how you get things done in
Right.
America. But from there, we move into my favorite story of the week, which is Wolf's "Why Is This Happening?" news story of the week. Wolf, I will intro this for you, and then I just want to get your thoughts on it. So Black Widow has officially gotten its 9th trailer to let us know that there's a new Black Widow movie coming. It's been announced that it's coming in July, and it's going to not only come to theaters, but also be available for the premium version of Disney Plus, which is a $30 charge. How do you feel about this Black Widow movie? Do you think that there's any reason for it to exist, or is this just strictly a filler movie?
That's the $1 million question right there. I think the why is it happening is twofold. First, why would you not go see it in theaters for $10 when it's and like against something that's $30 to watch at home? That's just dumb in my opinion. Like, whatever, cash grab, got it. This latest trailer which basically explains the entire movie again, and I feel like I've already seen the entire movie. It made me more confused because they even put a blip of her in Endgame where she's about to die. So now I don't know whether this takes place in between Endgame and Infinity War, or is it after and she's alive somehow. If that's the case, I will probably give this a worse score than The Little Things, just for that fact, because it's kind of like Wonder Woman 84. Chris Pine is in that movie for absolutely no reason, and it's not actually him. It's just the saddest thing in the world. I feel like that's what's kind of happening here. But it's she's dead. I don't need to see like what she did in between. Like I don't need to watch this in my opinion. I think that's the type of movie it is. I guess you could probably tell I'm getting a little fired up because it's just I'm glad it is a movie though instead of an 8-part TV series, because it'll be over in 2 hours as opposed to taking up an entire week's worth of watching. So there's that, at least as a positive. I'll leave it, but I just don't understand.
I'm gonna guess the ending. She dies at the end. No, so they did. They did announce the set is set before
Endgame,
Infinity War, and Endgame.
Okay.
It's set in that timeline in between that 5-year period, which this movie should have came out in between Infinity War and Endgame. It would have made her death that much more important. She deserves her own solo movie. I just don't see the point in going back. My prediction is there is a reason for it, and it's just a long version to get there. Florence Pugh, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Pugh, is going to be in this movie, and I'm pretty sure they're going to set her up as the new Black Widow. So they're going to use this whole movie to get the fans on board with that, which I really like her. I think she's fantastic.
Yeah.
She was in a movie called Midsummer, one of my favorite horror kind of weird horror movies, but very, very good. And I think that makes sense to me if that's the direction they're going. But yeah, if it leads to Scarlett Johansson in any timeline finding her way back into the MCU, I'm just over it. You know, I and keep in mind she's one of my favorite MCU
she's
characters.
Awesome in everything, every movie. She's great. Like
they chose to kill her.
Yeah, she's gone. Like you can't bring this back. I don't care. Like it's similar to like you have to do a Captain America origin story and see where he came from, but not before he's dead, right? Like it's just that simple. So I totally agree with you on that. They should have released this before Endgame.
Having said that, it does look entertaining, and I do really like I forget his name, the guy that's playing the Russian Captain
from
America.
Stranger Things, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, David Harbour.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. Taskmaster looks like a cool villain. Again, it's just hard for me to get invested in something that takes place in the past. I hate prequels, and I don't know.
Why is this happening, guys?
Why is this happening? Why is this the first official MCU movie that's coming out after Endgame? Like, I feel like they could have went with something a little bit of a bigger stakes. Doctor Strange 2 would have been perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, that's all I got on it. From there, we move into what we're watching, and I'll lead us off. So this is just stuff that we haven't officially reviewed yet. Some of it, sometimes we will review in the future, but just to give you some week-to-week recommendations, excuse me. But from there, my only recommendation of the week is going to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is streaming right now on Disney+. There's been 4 episodes to air, 2 more to come in the next 2 weeks. It airs every Friday. Mm-hmm. Highly recommend everybody watch this. We're going to do our full review on it when it's over, so make sure you stay up to date. You know, try to avoid spoilers. I think it's so far a very good show. The most recent episode they aired was fantastic, so looking forward to our review of it. But what do you got for us, Wolf?
That was one of mine as well. I'm all caught up. It's telling a cool story, and it's hard not to like a lot of the characters that are in it. So yeah, definitely would recommend that. The only other one I had is I actually checked out a documentary on HBO called Q Into the Storm. It's a documentary where the documentarian, he follows around some of the guys who are responsible for the QAnon movement in the country. It kind of started back in the late 2017, has been going on ever since. A lot of people think that a lot of this was responsible for the Capitol insurrection that happened early this year. And it just kind of dives right into trying to find out, you know, who started it, who's providing this information, and it's fascinating. So if you're awesome. At all a fan of any kind of like conspiracy theory / just the keeping up with news and politics. It's a very, very, like I said, fascinating documentary, and you'll get a lot out of it. I learned way more about what I'd already known just from watching it. And there's starting to be shows kind of popping up here and there that are talking more about this on like Vice Network and stuff like that. So I would definitely check that out for sure.
Awesome. Sounds great. Loving it. All right, well, I think that's all we got for this week. So coming up this Thursday, we're going to have a very special episode that I know you're really looking forward to. Top 10 comedies of all time. We're going to drop both of our lists. So last time we did a kind of a combined list. We knew this one's going to be a lot different for sure. You know, comedy movies are so subjective. So really looking forward to see what the audience says about what their favorite comedies are, which ones we got right, which ones we are completely off on. So it should be a nice little battle between the two of us on Thursday.
Absolutely. Very much looking forward to that. And guys, thank you very much for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode, catching up on the news of the week. We'll see you again on Thursday. Again, check us out on all our socials, our website, madeformovies.com, and even pick up some merch if you want. Got a few shirts left. madeformovies.com/merch. Until next time, everybody. See ya.
Bye.
Made for movies.